Hey everybody, welcome to Cluster API version 110 release team meeting. This is our second one. We're trying to do this every Wednesday right before the Cluster API meeting. First, let me apologize. I screwed up the UTC time. I copied it off a calendar invite and I was off by an hour, so I hope I didn't waste too many people's time. Um, Hopefully we're all on the same page now. But to get the rest of the spiel out of the way, as I'm sure you're all well aware, we're doing CAPI work here, and so we're part of SIG cluster lifecycle, and as such, we're a Kubernetes project. We abide by the CNCF code of conduct, which basically boils down to let's try and make this a welcoming, happy place, try and use the raise hands feature, etc. Um, Having said that, feel free to interrupt me as I'm going through this little agenda I came up with. I don't think it's a problem. Um, yeah, if you want to add your name to the attendee list here, that's helpful just so people can identify each other. It's not necessarily required. Um, and let me change this so I see if people raise their hands. I have a hard time with the Zoom UI. I'll complain about that a lot. Okay, so unless anybody has anything they want to start with, we did introductions last time, and that took a good chunk. But we may have new people this time. So if people want to go mute, off mute, and say who they are and why they're here, let's finish up with introductions.
Hi,
Hey,
my
Morgan,
name is Morgan. I work at Microsoft and I'm helping out with the comms team. I was not here last week, so I did want to introduce myself.
welcome.
Thank you.
If there's someone else was added after the last meeting, but I think they're not here, so that's fine. So anyway, let's move on to the release timeline. So this was essentially the first task for me and for us to finish, which is let's finalize who is all on the team and what our schedule is. A lot of it was already done, so I just took the schedule and created an issue out of it and fleshed it out a little and tracked down all of your GitHub handles and Slack IDs, and hopefully I got them right. Although this one I messed up. That's not actually Shannon's Slack ID. Otherwise, I think we're all set. Let me know if I made any mistakes here, but I think we're good. Um, and then here's just, we don't need to follow this. This is from before, but just because this is the general landing page for all of us, if you're curious, what am I supposed to be doing at this point? Or what does the comms team do? What does the CI team do? This is the general link to that documentation, and hopefully you can find it through there. Next thing up, and this is kind of the general agenda I guess I came up with. I think we'll probably be following this more or less for the next few weeks because, as you can see, if you look at this document, all the tasks, things don't really heat up for a while, kind of slow. So there was some work to do initially, and then really just doing patch releases and the background tasks until things. So anyway, sorry, jumped ahead there. Um, but I think this is roughly the agenda we'll try and follow for the next few meetings. So from that point of view, could we get a status update, Chris, from the CI team? Where are people at and what do things look like? Oh, is Chris
Um,
here? Oh yeah,
I'm
sorry.
here.
Go ahead.
Hello. I Status looks good. We had our first meeting this morning, as a group, and we went over some of the basics. We've been getting people on board with how to run tests locally, and I've also been diving in over the past week and a half to try and replicate tests locally as well, and just get our troubleshooting stack in place. From what I've seen so far over the past week and a half is we have some flaky tests out there, but they've all been documented before. So I think we're still in a good spot. Hopefully it'll continue.
And that's really the overall task is to identify new, unique
Yeah,
failures that we need to pounce on rather than the one. Yeah, okay.
that's my
Great.
understanding at least. And yeah, nothing's just failing to run either. Everything's just flaked, if anything. So
Hopefully we haven't jinxed ourselves by
yeah.
saying that.
Sorry.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are up and running. Um, Next up, Chandan, do you want to tell me what the comms team is doing? I know you've done this before, so it's probably
Yeah.
familiar.
So, so I'm just trying to set up like the initial task, like what we have to do. So I'm just going through those. Probably I will finish out in this week. And rest of part, like the next part, I'm trying to figure out the time so that I can have the internal meeting with the comms team. It's pretty hard to find between different time zone, but yeah, I will figure out something. So probably by end of this week, I will have the meeting with the teams so that by the next week we can probably ready to go.
Great. Sounds good. Yeah, scheduling is super difficult, especially with us being all around the world.
Mm.
Cool. All right. Next, I figure we should check in on the release test. So this is an issue in GitHub that I copied essentially the good work that we've been doing for several releases and just updated the dates and put some tasks in. And so we're just past week 1 now, and we've almost got all those tasks nailed. This PR is still waiting for merge. And I don't know, I'm kind of nudging people, but it's not really urgent. This is the PR that will update a Slack alias so that if we want to, we can all talk to each other as at Cappy release team, and it'll get all 12 or 13 of us correctly. But so just some housekeeping type stuff we need to do initially to set up our team is almost all done. Fabrizio and company were kind enough to do this for us, so this was already done by the time I even clued in what we were doing. Comms manager, you guys don't necessarily have tasks here yet, but there may be something, right? If actually update supported versions is a discrete task we should probably do soon, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of a background task for me is to see what deprecated code there is or was, and I found something, but we can't back it out yet because there's a nice PR to replace it. So this is all in process. Other than that, we don't have specific tasks that I'm aware of, but please correct me if I'm wrong. We have the tasks that are described in the comms and CI documents as, uh, you know, monitoring CI, obviously, and I don't know if there's any specific comms tasks to do yet, but you guys can figure that out, right? So that's where I think we're at in terms of the big checklist here. And then just flying over it, really, we're in kind of a holding pattern for most of the time. We're doing patch releases, and then things heat up when we get close to doing a beta release. We want to bring all of our dependencies as close to current as possible, see if we need to prep for the next release, etc. Then there's a lot more specific work to do. That's a little ways away. And beyond that tasks list, which is kind of where I've been centering myself, there's also an improvement board, which I'll admit I'm not quite as aware of. I created it and I went ahead and moved the tasks we had from the previous one that we didn't quite complete over here. But I think this is a place for us, as we're all doing this together and we find things that are clunky or don't make sense any longer, we should be actively putting them up here so that, when our tenure is done, we leave it a better place and we've actually made some improvements. Because we do have, at least on the calendar, we have a fair amount of time to introspect and see how we can do things better. Is that roughly the idea, Stephen, and people who've done this before?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I have a couple issues I can link that might be good for the CI team. One of them is kind of carrying over from the last cycle, so I can drop those in the chat, or I can just put them on the board directly if that's all right with you.
Cool. Yeah, either way. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully people feel free to update this on their own. I don't think people are going to veto anything that's considered an improvement task. Cool. So those are essentially kind of our two tracking documents that we have that we maintain for the rest of the release cycle. And then I just want to see if people had. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, sorry for being late. I was
Oh,
just
not at all.
updating the document.
No problem. Um, and then we can leave this to last. I just want to make sure anybody who had questions got. But we have some more specific stuff here. So 116.2. I thought we were on 116.2. No?
Looks like this version is in caps, which is failing in tests. There's a ticket regarding this feature flag, which is specifically AWS single nodes instance group. I was just opening this up, HTTP and statego files from caps, and I just noticed there's this extra logic regarding the feature flag for AWS provider, which makes sense looking at the PRAO. However, Go mode here have version 1.15.3, and it's in
Oh,
cup specifically. I'm not sure. I have my Kubernetes cups and yeah, open as of now. So yeah, the scoring is 6.9. Solution seems to be just to update to that version, which is version 16.2. I just maybe that's a good opportunity to ask the question of how does it go? Because updating Go modules, I mean, it usually goes flawlessly with Go moduling. But since there are many SIGs, and as you mentioned, there may be that specific version defined somewhere else. I don't know. Thinking about compatibility, like if we do this it's Service Manager, right? It's a serious, and very, very useful thing for Kubernetes platform. So I just wonder when you update this kind of it's minor update, right? What will need to run or be tested? Is it end-to-end framework thing or yeah?
um, so does this boil down to a discrepancy in Kappa was using an older version of Cert Manager, and that has something to, maybe I didn't quite understand. Or are you asking if we bump Cert Manager and Cappy, what is going to guarantee that other providers are actually testing that version?
Uh, in general, I mean, I was originally looking at the end-to-end tests for AWS Scale on the PC using CL2.
Mhm.
It was from the release CI signal channel. I think pasted by Wendy. And I noticed there's a caps used for probably for just Terraform code to spin up a cluster for testing, right? And there's this library which is outdated regarding that security consideration. And I'm wondering, like in general, if is that one of those things because it's cups, right? It's just one of the spinner, uh, the first one I've ever used, really. But is this that kind of a thing that would, after let's say someone creates an update for that Go modules, goes sound gets changed? Uh, is CAPS testing enough for this, or taking that those tests are for like CAPI use something like CAPS, right, for provisioning the instances there, that maybe there's something more thorough or end-to-end needed. Yeah, I mean, how would you go with that kind of an update? I'm gonna paste that link. Uh, So it's coming from this brow here.
Mhm. Um, I'm not really sure
I mean, should we
how to,
worry
yeah,
about this or because it's part of a test, right?
yeah.
For the signal and it's using cups for in this kind of operation in that very specific scenario there. And there's this log, but so I started looking at the code and I realized that there is Cert Manager, which is not today. So if updated, then we'll be like, I mean, should we care about this, or rather, is it something that we should leave for Cup's team of Justin's?
Because it's a dependency through cops that we're kind of failing indirectly through. So it's not really Cappy's responsibility, you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, I yeah, okay. So we should leave this for Kubernetes operations.
I'm not saying that. I don't know. It kind of depends on your
Uh,
initiative. Like if you think it's a fairly
I,
straightforward fix, then definitely we should try and push it to cops. But from
yeah, I mean, updating
the
the Go
release
mod
team's point
is
of view, I'm
mhm.
not entirely sure. If it's
Yeah,
blocking CI stuff,
yes.
then yeah.
Blocking CI/CD, yeah, because we
Which
use it seems that we use Cabs for testing, right?
no,
Yep. No, not in
No,
our E2E, I don't think.
yeah,
I
no.
mean
That's
this
not
link I
one of our
pasted here with
CI/CDs. That's not one of the ones that the Cappy team manages.
Oh,
okay.
sorry, I should have
So
clicked through.
Those
that
I see.
interface has a bunch of Kubernetes CI/CDs, but they're not all. We're not looking at all those. We're looking at like four of the big ones,
Okay,
but they're all
I was just
cluster
looking at
API.
the CA signal channel too. I see. So it's nothing that will be blocking us at this point, if I understand that correctly.
Just an
But
unrelated test, it looks like that we shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
if you
still,
go to the there's a end-to-end
CA signal.
page that has a search on it that kind of shows the ones that are us. It's not documented well, but long and short, it should say
The
cluster API in the test name, and this one doesn't.
okay, yeah. I just thought that the cluster that is just part of the whole cluster API testing, right? Because it's been instances for some performance testing or some end-to-end testing, and maybe CAPS deal that. So I just thought that maybe there's like dependency tree of testing there. If you could paste that CAPI that you mentioned, you meant like prow but CAPI, right?
What, Cappy? The
Oh,
jobs that Chris is talking about, or the
yeah, what you mentioned is not well documented, but can be
Right.
should be like taken a look first because looking at test grid there are like one, two, three, four, five, six failures, right? And I just wonder. I mean, since Happy is like on top of everything, that
It's
then
not. It's
yeah.
not actually, and it's
Okay.
below some things. So, um,
Okay.
so if you look at the CI signal handbook, there's a link at the bottom that shows you the CI failures that are related to our tests.
I see.
Um,
I
and
see.
I
So
will put it
certain
in the
failures are
meeting
not
chat.
related. Understood. Okay.
So there's the
Yeah.
filter.
Cool. Thanks, man. But using the occasion, that kind of an update, certain measure is certain measure. I don't think there should be any kind of a trouble just updating it, right? I mean, we just go mod and go sum and go mod tidy followed, right? And everything else would be handled by GitHub, even if because it needs to be done, I guess, anyway. Or maybe communicated to cops. I'm not sure.
is it cert manager is the thing to upgrade still?
The library, the submanager, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
it's
mean, no,
usually
no,
been
no software. Yeah.
it's been pretty painless to upgrade, is my impression in Cappy. I don't think there've been hiccups, so it's probably easy for them too.
Yeah, submanager is quite, yeah, certain security. Yeah, PBNs.
All right. Next,
Thank you.
is this yours as well, Pavel, or the feature flag on control plane breaking some cops tests?
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at that task grid, and that's one of those. So it's related. Yep.
Okay, but it's not one of ours, so we should skip over it as well. Okay,
Oh, okay.
is that right? I'm asserting that.
I
Yeah.
think all three of those last bullet points are the same issue.
Okay.
We're touching on.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. And then last thing we wrote down, Sanat is reminding us next week we have 2 patch releases planned on Tuesday. I have not done that before, but it looks pretty straightforward. So, and I'm
Yeah,
sure Pete will be around to help.
I'll be,
Yeah,
sorry, I'll be helping you. So
great.
this is the first batch releases. So yeah, just wanted to remind you. It's better to actually send the invite at the same time of like today, uh, on 21st of January. So
For for
for
the
release, yeah, for
for the
release,
patch releases or for this
patch
meeting?
release meeting. No, patch release meeting. So
Oh, okay.
for
Okay.
every patch release, we send like separate links, like separate invites.
And is that just so one of my challenges, Chris and I were complaining about this, is I'm not really sure how to use the shared calendar. So would that be just an invite on my own calendar for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like from your account, you can send an invite.
Yeah.
So I normally use like Google account.
Yeah. Yeah, I will too. I was just there's a standing invitation for this meeting we're in right now, and I didn't want to confuse things by having a redundant one, but I can't modify that one. So hopefully everybody's got this meeting somewhere they can remember it now.
Yeah, actually that one is been there whole time.
Yeah.
So we use like a separate invites. So however you feel like doing it, so you can use the same in that invite because the links will be the same and password and docs, so everything is the same. So
Yeah. It's
however
just
you like it.
okay. I don't know. Maybe I should send a redundant one because then people have something they can click on to add to their calendar. Whereas here, I'm asking people to figure out whether or not they're subscribed to. Anyway, I'll figure that out. I'll send an invite for the patch meeting, and maybe I'll send a redundant one for this as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Um, is there anything else, Sanat, you think we should have covered here, or Chris, or anyone who's done this before?
I think you have done pretty good. Yeah, everything is covered.
Cool.
And yeah, you are doing all of you. I'm really see that you are doing very well. Thank you all.
Great. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, ideas? Do people generally know what they should be doing at this point?
Um,
Satyam.
if I may,
Hey,
sorry, go ahead.
so it would be a quick one actually. So this is for Chris. I understand there is an internal sync for CI Signal team. I missed the invitation. It would be great if you could invite me there as well.
I'm gonna ask the same thing. But
Okay. So two more invitees for the CI meeting. It was early this morning, or maybe not early for you. Don't know.
I'm in Central European Standard Time Zone, and in my calendar, I had something like in the QADM, no, the very the 3 p.m. of Central European Standard Time. Was that one?
If you are on the CI sub team, and only if you're on the CI sub team, there should be a private
Okay,
chat that you're all in that we talked about the meeting
so
times and
I'm not.
yeah, but I'm just for the other folks who are. If you're in that chat room, that's where I posted it. I didn't send an invite because I didn't have everyone's emails. I think Matt has sent me that. I will get an invite out. Other than that, it's way more reliable to just coordinate in Slack. So like if you see we say it's a meeting time, just put it on your own calendar. But hopefully mine will go out too, and then you'll be good with that as well, and you'll have two meetings. We'll be redundant. HA meetings.
So my question was about this improvement board. Seems I'm getting 404. I suppose it's because I do not have access for that specific
Oh,
improvement
yes.
board.
It's a project under Kubernetes SIGs. So I get if you're not in the Kubernetes SIGs organization, you probably won't be able to see it.
I thought I was. So I'm not sure. So not, because I don't know.
If you're a Kubernetes member, you're not necessarily also a Kubernetes SIGs member. You have to ask for both if you
Ah,
want both. But if you're in
good
one,
to know.
they'll just add you to the other. That's the good part, at least.
Yeah, they don't have separate
Okay.
qualifications anymore. You just
So should I like open a ticket asking for
If
uh,
are you a Kubernetes org member? Have you done that before?
I I have the SLA
No,
as a
this is
private
beyond.
contributor, but the
Yeah.
beyond so okay.
yeah. It looks like you are not.
Okay. Yeah, it's a whole process you'll have to do, and you have to get someone to vouch for you and stuff. So
Thanks
so
for
don't worry about it.
checking that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're not a member, you can still do
Okay,
90%.
at this point,
It's not going to stop you from
okay.
participating here. It's just you won't be able to see that board apparently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not everything at once in the beginning, I guess.
Okay. Any other questions or ideas or anything? Sounds like no. All right, cool. I will put this recording on YouTube, and we'll see you all here next week, same time. Probably see you at the CAPI meeting in a few minutes.
Mhm.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks.